This is Rachel, and we're back with the Next Set podcast. I am really excited to have Brittany here with us today. She is like the fitness mama guru, amazing woman, 4 kids, just world-class athlete. And I just want to thank you for coming in today.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. So tell us how you got started in this like really intense style of like Olympic weightlifting.
Well, my youngest was about 2 years old, and I was living in San Diego, and I was actually a long distance runner. So a huge shift to Olympic weightlifting. And I was just at the local YMCA there, and a weightlifting coach spotted me out, and he said, "You are built for weightlifting." And I said, "No, actually, I'm a runner." And he said, "You'll never amount to anything as a runner." And he started working with me, and gradually, and within a few weeks, I started catching on really quickly. And he said, "You'd be winning local competitions right now." And that winning word really captured my attention.
So you've really always been a competitive athlete.
Yes, I was a gymnast growing up. And so I built quite a base from that. I've always had a more muscular build. So, I had him sign me up for a competition. In my first 6 weeks, I took 3rd place. And shortly after, moved to Utah, where he found me a weightlifting coach, and I've been doing it ever since.
That's so cool. So how is it for a woman, especially a mom of 4, to train competitively? I mean, you are like a rockin' athlete. How do you fit everything in?
It's difficult for sure, but it's definitely a priority. Growing up, I was a competitive gymnast, like I said, and my parents couldn't afford to keep me in it. So they pulled me out, and I've just always had that competitive drive to do something. And it was kind of a second chance. So I just took advantage of that. And it's hard to fit it in with 4 kids, but if it's a priority, you can make it happen.
How does that affect your relationship with your family members, or like your mental health for that matter?
It was actually kind of hard on my family at first to adjust, because no one was prepared for me to be an athlete after having 4 kids. So in the beginning, it was kind of tough for people to adjust, but we had to make some compromises to make it work as far as my training schedule and my competition schedules. But everyone had to be on board and be supportive. So my husband and my kids, and everyone has to make some sacrifices for me to do what I get to do.
That's so cool for you to be an example to them. How can women support other women athletes rather than competing like against each other? Do you feel a camaraderie like in the Olympic weightlifting community among women?
Absolutely. Everyone is supportive of everyone. So I train on a weightlifting team with a whole bunch of really great women, and everyone is supportive of everyone. It's an interesting sport because it is an individual sport, but it is also a team sport in some aspects. But there's so many different weight classes too, and age groups that separate you. But even so, everyone in the sport kind of roots for everyone because it's really fun.
Did you know it was going to be like that when you entered it? I mean, being a gymnast, which is a team sport, well, an individual sport as well, but you probably felt that camaraderie before.
Yeah. It makes it really fun to train together. So
you're competing against each other, but you're cheering each other on as well.
Exactly. Yeah. They're some of my best friends that I've made through weightlifting. So.
That is so cool. So if a girl or a woman wanted to get into Olympic weightlifting, what's the first thing they need to do? I mean, that's pretty intimidating sport.
It is. I would say the most important thing to do is to find a really good coach. And there's not a whole lot of them. That you definitely need to learn the proper technique and proper form so that you're doing it correctly and less likely to get hurt doing it. So find a really good coach. That's really all you need to get started.
That's cool. So where do you train currently?
I train under Debbie Millett, who's with Praxis Olympic Weightlifting Center. She's been around for about 12 years, and we have probably the best team in the state. There's some in Utah Valley. She's located in South Jordan, and I drive there from Bountiful to South Jordan to train with her and that team. So
that's commitment.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your eating or your eating style as an Olympic weightlifting athlete?
So we do have to make weight for competition. We have to, you fall into a weight category. And so I do watch my weight regularly. I eat a very high protein diet and actually high carb as well. It's a little bit different if I have to cut weight for competition. But I do track my macros and track all my food daily. I just try to eat as clean as possible and get the most out of my most nutrients I possibly can out of the calories that I'm eating.
Can you do that by yourself, or do you have a nutrition coach? How do you work
I have
that?
had nutrition coaches in the past, and I had just learned so much from it that I just do my own now. So it's pretty easy for me to see what I need to do if I need to cut some weight. But I'm really good at managing my weight and staying within a couple of kilos of where I need to be. How
do you propose that we make it okay for women to embrace the bodies that they're born with? Like you were saying, you're very muscular. That's probably natural for you to be more muscular. How have you done that in terms of your own body image, and how do you relay that to your kids?
The cool thing right now, back when I was in high school, it was probably more cool to be skinny. Mm-hmm. Skinny was more in back then. Right now, it's an awesome time to be around because strong is really in. And so it is. I definitely have had body image issues all throughout my life that I've dealt with. And it's been great the last few years to really kind of accept the build that I have and learn to love it. And just whatever anyone has been born with, you can make it the best you can be, so. That's
so cool. And you're such a great example to girls and women to just take those attributes that you've been given and make the best of them.
Exactly.
I mean, as a runner, somebody spotted that may not have been where you would excel as compared to Olympic weightlifting.
Exactly. He was right. I wasn't built for running. So I did. I kind of just did the best with what I have and learned to love it that way. So
what are some of the supplements that you use, or some of the things that you take into your body in addition to food? Because I know you're very careful about, your nutrients and your macros. What supplements do you use on a regular basis?
I do use my next set supplements. I drink the amino acids during every single workout, while I'm working out.
Do you notice a difference with those?
Definitely. I think for Olympic weightlifting, we have to be really careful with what we put into our bodies because we are drug-tested athletes. So we do have to be really careful. So I do aminos always to help with muscle repair and recovery. And then they have a repair formula that I use post-workout that I usually mix with some vanilla protein. Tastes pretty good. Yeah.
So you're very conscientious about everything that goes into your body because, as a competitive athlete, that is going to make a difference in your ability to compete currently and in the future.
Right.
How do you vet some of the supplements that you use currently?
Some people take a whole lot. They take fat burners and they take all. If you're a bodybuilding or a show athlete, but as a competitive athlete, I'm only trying to take what's absolutely necessary.
Very cool.
And nothing extra.
And you've studied nutrition a lot, so you know what's important and
right.
what you can do without. How do you set goals? You're kind of at the top of your game right now. So how do you set goals for the future in terms of, achieving the best because you're kind of at the top?
Yeah. So that's a good question. I've literally won every large meet that there is to win. I've won a world championship. I've won a Pan Am championship, several national titles. I've won in the Arnold in Columbus. I've set some world records. You can always break your own world records. My next thing I want to do before I kind of retire, which doesn't mean I'm going to stop lifting. It just means who even knows if I can do it, but we'll see. My next big plan is to win all 4 big meets in 1 year, which is Nationals, Worlds, Pan Ams, and American Masters, and it's called a Grand Slam. So it's the only thing I haven't done So I'd love to do it all before I'm
cool.
ready to finish.
So where can people follow you? Do you have a social media Instagram account? Or
I do.
Facebook?
I have an Instagram account. It's called Weightlifting Barbie. It's kind of a funny story how I got that name.
Tell us about that.
A big weightlifting coach I trained with in San Diego before I moved. I was training in his gym, and he actually gave me the name Weightlifting Barbie because someone was lifting and no one was paying attention to him. And he said, everyone's watching Barbie over there. And so it's kind of how I got it. And I liked it because it just it just made it sound like, maybe a Barbie, but with muscles, I
love it. And, it kind of makes it fun, competitive, but fun. And so, yeah, if anybody wants to follow you, Weightlifting Barbie.
Yeah.
So what's a piece of advice that you can offer like a young 17, 18-year-old girl who may be built for competitive weightlifting? Like, how would you guide somebody like that? High school.
I just wish that I had known about this sport then because I was introduced to it so late. So the younger you can get started, the better it is for you. And I am coaching several young teenage girls right now.
Very cool.
In my home gym, and they love it. Kids love it. They really do. And there's something so rewarding about getting stronger. So it's a very motivating way to train versus just going to the gym aimlessly. You're always pursuing bigger numbers, and there's no better feeling than hitting a big squat number, hitting a PR on a lift. It's very rewarding, and it makes your workouts challenging and more fun. And you have something to train for. It has more purpose.
So with that purpose, how does it affect your self-esteem, or how have you seen it affect other women or girls' self-esteem when they jump into it?
I love watching the younger girls and how it helps them. I just wish I had something like that when I was that age too. But even as a woman, I had 4 babies, and if you look on my page, I was over, 200 pounds delivering my 3rd baby. I was gaining 50 to 75 pounds with each kid that I had. And you can see my transformation photos. I was very overweight for some time. So it hasn't been easy for me to get in this kind of shape, but it can be done. So what advice would you offer like a new mom who's just so frustrated with the weight gain? What's the first thing that you would recommend? Well, definitely, you got to give yourself time. It always takes a little bit of time, and there's a time and a place for everything. I didn't start weightlifting until my youngest was about 2.5, and so it just your priorities are different at different times of your life.
So be patient with yourself.
Yeah.
Give yourself some time, because you're not going to be the same 2.5 years after having a baby that you are like a week after.
Exactly.
I am so excited to follow you and have our listeners follow you. I really appreciate everything that you've talked about today, because this podcast is really about empowering women and resilient women. Is there a piece of advice you can offer women who may be like really struggling in January with like depression, anxiety, mental health? Is there a connection to being in the gym that might be helpful?
The gym is definitely my sanity. Everyone needs to find what it is that they love, and pay attention to how you're feeling. A lot of people view working out as a chore, when really it can be fun, and you pay attention to how it makes you feel,
Yeah.
So it may be hard at first. I mean, it's hard getting back in shape if you haven't been consistently working out. But you pay attention to how it makes you feel. Same thing with like eating. I know it's really hard to eat really clean and healthy all the time, but then, when I'm eating too much sugar or something like that, I realize how good I feel when I'm doing everything right. So
just tune into your body and see how you feel.
Yeah.
Like better after you work out, or
yes, there are. I mean, they have studies that show the endorphins from working out, and it always puts me in a better mood. So
that's so awesome. So you have a recent injury. We really haven't dived into that, but it was a foot injury recently, which has really impacted your ability to train. Tell us a little bit about how you've overcome that. When athletes are injured, that's a big deal. Like that can be totally depressing. How have you worked around that?
Well, I'm not going to lie. I haven't always been that positive. It was very unexpected. I broke my foot and I cried for days. But I get in the gym every day. I just take it one day at a time and do what I can. And I just have to believe that I'm going to come back stronger and better after this. I definitely have a lot more empathy for people that this is my first serious injury. So I have a lot more empathy for people that are going through it or have gone through it. It is 10 times worse if you're an athlete, and that's...
Yeah, because that's what you do.
Yeah, I'm missing out on a big national competition in my hometown this year, so that's a really big bummer. But
how do you overstep that? Because I think this is really important and really good information. We work with a lot of vets who suffer from PTSD or setbacks like in life, physically and mentally. Share some of the things that you've kind of had to learn in this process of overcoming a setback.
Oh, yeah. Definitely a change of course. I had my year all mapped out. It was perfectly mapped out. My competitions lined up just so great as far as traveling and cost of traveling and stuff like that. So it looks like I'm just going to have to shoot for next year. I'm aiming right now. I'm aiming to do a world championship in August. So I just need to set my sights towards something rather than just give up. So I'm trying to maintain as much strength as I possibly can. I'm still in the gym every day. I'm getting creative about ways to work around my injury.
Yeah, I saw on your Instagram account, you're like doing one-legged. I don't know which move was it.
Yeah. I'm doing tons of one leg work. I'm resting my other leg on a bench and doing heavy pulls from blocks, doing hamstring work. I'm doing tons of leg extensions where I can't use my foot. So it's not my normal way of training. I normally do squats 4 to 5 days a week, and I haven't been squatting. I'm definitely losing muscle mass. So it's hard, but I know that it's going to come back. So I just have to be positive and think about what's coming and work on healing my foot for now.
Yeah. That controlled optimism is really important. And I think too, those next set supplements are going to be helpful to you as you repair the tissues and the bones and, keep that muscle mass, keep the muscle mass that you have.
Yes.
We've seen that a lot in women who take the stack on a regular basis. They maintain a lot more muscle mass than if they're not taking it. So
yes, exactly. It's really important to keep eating everything healthy you can. Take your supplements daily. I'm still doing creatine and stuff like that. So
awesome.
We'll see. I'll be back.
You're an amazing heroine for a lot of women and girls, and just the time that you're giving to those young girls who are learning how to appreciate their bodies and the things that they can do.
Right. And that's one thing weightlifting does. It really appreciates what our bodies are able to do more than focusing on, it's an Olympic sport versus just like a show, you know what I mean? So it is a cool way to work out and train, but still be in a sport and compete in a sport. It's really fun.
You're really inspiring, and especially like overcoming this injury. I think it's really going to be important for other athletes and people suffering from PTSD to see that, there are workarounds. There are ways to overcome some of these setbacks. Like you said, your schedule was all laid out and you had to readjust, and that's really the gist of this podcast is resiliency. And so I'm really grateful that you came today and shared those tips for just being a resilient woman. Best of luck to you. And we'll be cheering you on this year as you use those workarounds. We know you'll be back and hitting those 4 huge competitions next year.
Yes.
So,
thank you.
Thanks, Brittany.